Hey folks, this is Pamela Parrish, getting on here to show you off a Snoopy. And I do have two Gen 1 Teddy Ruxpins out in my living room, but I'm not going to show you them today as they don't really work. And I don't have any batteries to test Snoopy here, but I thought I would show you off Snoopy. And I think if I can, I'll roll in here and show you the Teddy, but I don't know. Here he is. He's a little dusty and dirty, but that's okay. He's been sitting in my room under a pile of animals for like the last half a year. But yeah, he's still fairly clean, just aged due to the white fur. Yeah, but he's good, he's still good and soft, and I'll have to get like some stuff from Build-A-Bear to really clean him, but yeah, he's just dusty. I don't want to get him all wet now because it's raining outside. If I had a table out in my backyard, I'd set him out in the backyard and let him dry, but I'm not going to do that. He's a little dirty, but I still love him nonetheless. But yeah. He looks like he does on the TV show. I have a few tapes, but I don't know where they're at. But I do have one that was in his back, so let me put that up on camera so you can see which one. I think it says Snoopy's Talent Show. Where Snoopy and the gang get involved in a talent show. And I may have to tighten up the tape or roll the tape. So, yeah. That'll have to be done before I can think of playing with him. So, yeah. Let me take a few minutes here. I'm in my wheelchair so I could do this. But, yeah. Snoopy was one of the last things to come out from Worlds of Wonder before they folded after 1986. I don't know what caused Worlds of Wonder to go into bankruptcy, but during their short time being in business, they put out some pretty great toys. So, yeah. Teddy Ruxpin was something that all people can enjoy. It's not just kids. A lot of people consider Teddy Ruxpin a kid's toy, but no. Teddy Ruxpin is for everyone that needs a friend. For me, Teddy Ruxpin always brought a little sunshine into people's lives. I mean, I remember the cartoon, but that was my seatbelt for my wheelchair. You'll have to forgive me for that. But yeah, I do have at least 3 teddies in here. 2 Gen 1s, which I'm going to show you right now. That one with a metal deck. And this one has a metal deck. And this one over here is the plastic deck. I also have the Teddy Ruxpin cassette series. I think it was volume 1 of Teddy Ruxpin. But I can't remember if there were a volume 2 that was released through Rhino Records. In fact, while I'm on here, I'm going to pull up and show you the tape box. It has 3 cassettes. I Am Proud to Be Me, Lullabies, and Teddy Ruxpin and His Friends. And I think that Teddy Ruxpin's music should have been released in a complete box set, including demos and maybe a track about some of the stories that Ken Forsee was working on around the time he died. I would love to have heard about some of the stories that he was trying to work on around the time that the creator of Teddy Ruxpin had passed away. And I wish I would have had the chance to tell him thank you for creating a friend that a lot of people can put their comfort in or put their trust in. Because a lot of people don't know me outside of YouTube, but I'm a person that has special needs. I'm in a wheelchair when I'm out of the house or when I'm doing a video like this, trying to get everything together and share it with you. And as you know, it's not easy for me to get around very well anymore. And a lot of people want to write people like me off. And over the years, I've built up sort of a wall. So I don't trust a lot of people. I can't. There's just not a lot of trust in the world. But the one thing kids could rely on was their favorite stuffed friend, whether it was a teddy bear or their favorite action figure. Or in my case, things like the Papa Smurf or the Smurfette or Worlds of Wonders Teddy Ruxpin later on. And, of course, my brothers would cut on me about Teddy Ruxpin, but you know what? I didn't care. I wanted him at 14 years old in 1985, and my mom and dad went out and got me one. But the problem was the early ones often broke, leaving piles of them sitting inside the stores unsold or sent back to the factory. After 3 times, my mom said, "Pam, honey, I know you like Teddy Ruxpin, but I'm going to take him back and get the money back. Because I know you like him. You bought some stories for him, but we'll take him back and we'll get the money back. Maybe they'll come out with a new one in the future." So we wait. The guest Teddy comes along. I got him through Finger Hut, and the one I got sounded like Metal Mouth when I pulled him out of the box. So we wound up taking that back, and I wasn't about to go through buy, return. It wasn't going to happen. Then Backpack Toys came around. I placed a pre-order. They had many difficulties trying to get him ready for the market. And after, I think, about a year, I had to cancel the order because I had things that were happening that were coming up. One, I didn't have that kind of money at that particular time to actually buy him. But my father's health was the biggest concern. And when they were clearing him out, my dad's like, "Oh boy, here we go again. She'll get it and then she'll be disappointed." But no, I wasn't disappointed. I was actually happy. But yeah, I was disappointed that the Teddy was discontinued. So, yeah. Seeing Teddy Ruxpin getting shafted while other toys that really don't hold much for a lot of people. Sure, they bring joy for maybe a couple of weeks to months. They often get faded away and put in the closet. You know, like the old Barbie Dream House or Barbie Townhouse that my sister had. That wound up in the basement in pieces. Whoa, that was thunder. So, yeah. There's a thunderstorm outside, and I'm talking about Teddy Ruxpin. So, give me a second here. I gotta get a drink. Teddy Ruxpin, you know, for me, is not just a friend for little kids, but he could be a friend to anyone that needs a good friend that they could snuggle up with and maybe I don't know, there's just something special about Teddy. He's there when you need a comfort. He's there when you're feeling scared and alone, and he doesn't condescend. He actually wants to be your friend. There's a sense of reality with Teddy. He's like a teenager. He's like 14 years old. He likes to have an adventure. He lived in Ralonia and decided to go out into the land of Grundo and explore all these beautiful and wonderful places. And for me, it makes me think back to my dad when we were little kids, in the 1970s. My dad would plan these vacations, and we'd go down to Myrtle Beach long before it was a tourist trap. We would stay at places like a place at the beach, or in the early days in the 1970s, we stayed at a place called the Sandcastle. And we go to a place called Seaside Water Slide and have fun there for hours. Or we would go to the beach. And over the years, we would take trips there. Or we would go to places like Kings Island or Cedar Point. And I know one year we went to Disney in 1984. But when Teddy Ruxpin came around, it was one of the hottest selling toys of 1985 and 86. And I wanted one. Of course, my brother says, "Oh, you're too old for him. Ha ha, you're going to look stupid having a silly old bear." But I didn't care. I wanted him. And it put a smile on my face. Don't ask me how, don't ask me why, but he did. He did. He was just a warm presence that I wanted to have around me. You don't judge me, I don't judge you, If you're nice to me, I'm nice to you, But in today's times, I'm very guarded about who I let into my circle. But with Teddy Ruxpin and characters like Snoopy and Grubby and all the characters of Grundo, in fact, all the characters of Worlds of Wonder, really, you can't help but open your heart up to these characters. And it was a nice change of pace of having things like that around your house. You could play a story or a music tape of theirs, and it would lift your spirits and help you get you through your day. But like I said, I have all these teddies, and they don't work, but I have two sitting high on my shelf in the bedroom. I would show you them, but my room is an absolute mess. I don't want to show you that. But I have like 3 or 4 backpack teddies, including one in the box, the Snoopy, which you see over here, and I have 2 Teddy Ruxpins sitting in the chair and one on my ottoman. The one on the ottoman is a metal deck teddy, and the one on the chair without the Hawaiian shirt is a Gen 1 teddy. And the others are plastic decks. But I'm waiting on getting one through the mail. It says it's waiting to be shipped, but I got some books, one of which is Teddy's birthday and the sign of a friend, because I want to help bring disability awareness to people. I think about people like Linda Bove of Sesame Street, Marley Maitland of many programs over the years. She has had a very successful career as a deaf actress. Just because we're disabled doesn't mean we can't do great things. Like me. I wish they had done stories about people with cerebral palsy, muscular dystrophy, or ALS. And, he did songs like I Am Proud to Be Me. We need that in today's society. If you're a good person, you should be proud of who you are. And don't be afraid to speak up for things that is wrong. Don't let anybody tell you anything different. If I feel like I'm being discriminated against because I'm a disabled person, I'm going to let people know about it. And if I think people in government are doing something wrong, you could bet your bottom dollar that I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to talk about it, and I'm going to call our POTUS and whoever else does something wrong, I'm going to call them out on it. But again, I don't trust a lot of people. I don't watch a lot of news anymore. But, when it comes to things like Teddy Ruxpin and Snoopy, those are things I can open my heart to. And I hope in the future I'll be able to post some of the stories so if anything were to happen to me, you could have a sense of fun like I had. And if you want one of these Teddy Ruxpins for the right reasons to restore and share with your kids, I hope my video will encourage you to get one. People like Nostalgia Critic and some of these other YouTubers treat Teddy Ruxpin like he's some sort of a freak show. Like, oh, he's part of Five Nights at Freddy's. I don't know what that shit's all about. It's crazy. It's crazy. They treat him like he's some sort of demon or something. But Teddy Ruxpin is one of the most gentle characters, and probably more life-affirming characters that was ever created. Certainly a better role model than, say, Alvin of the Chipmunks. Now there's a character that often got into trouble. And yet, Simon is supposed to be the smart one and Theodore the sweet one, yet they often got into trouble together. But I don't think they ever really learned their lessons from making people fall for their outlandish schemes. Teddy Ruxpin didn't play into that. You had your sense of fun and adventure, but you could learn something along the way also. So, yeah. And I think the biggest selling point for Teddy Ruxpin for me was the execution of voicings by Russi Taylor, who people know as Minnie Mouse from Disney, Will Ryan, who's done voice work for Disney, and I think Phil Barron has done some musical compositions for Disney. So don't quote me on that. I don't know about that for Phil Barron, but I think Will Ryan has done work for Disney. Russi Taylor, I know, has done work for Disney. And Phil Barron. So, yeah. If it weren't for those three people, I don't think we would have a book series that was so popular over 40 plus years later. I'm just trying to keep the flame alive for things that I care about. And I think Teddy Ruxpin should be preserved. I think a company should pick up the original designs for the toy and be able to make new parts to keep the toys running and new tapes for people that want them. And maybe add some good learning stories for kids, different stories about treating people with respect and teaching people about persons with disabilities. They teach people about how persons with disabilities can be proactive in their lives and have a happy and fulfilling future. It's too bad Teddy Ruxpin didn't really get to explore some of that. But one such story did come through. It's called The Sign of a Friend. And I'm hoping this bear that I'm getting in the mail, I hope it does work because I want to be able to share some of the Teddy stories. And I hope to be able to have my brother go down and find a couple more of them. so I could share them with you guys. So, yeah, I think the strongest asset for Teddy is the music and stories. There's another one that I'm not sure I have. It's called The Missing Princess, where Teddy and his friends go to find Prince Aaron. And, it's a very serious type of story because kids often go missing for years at a time. Some are murdered. Some of them just disappear and show up years later. It's been known to happen. And I think The Missing Princess is one of the most serious stories, apart from the safety tapes that they did later on. So, yeah. But I'm hoping to get on here in a couple of days and be able to share with you some good stories from Teddy Ruxpin. So, I don't know if I'm going to get the picture show type tapes, but I'm not going to worry about that. I think I just want the main body of books. But Teddy Ruxpin is a friend that anybody could rely on, whether you're young, in the middle, or very, very old. I think toys like Snoopy over there brings a lot of joy and a lot of comfort to people. Hopefully in the future I'll be able to get some more Snoopy tapes and Teddy tapes to share. But I hope to. If I get the new bear and set him up, I will do like a test run. And we'll start with the airship, because that's the one that's in one of my Teddy's backs. So, yeah. But again, let me tell you, I hope to be on here quite a bit when I get some tapes. It probably won't be every week that you'll see an upload, but you'll see an upload nonetheless. But we're going to be sharing something from Snoopy in the future. I just need to rewind the tape back to the beginning. I'll probably do it by hand. But yeah, I've been wanting to do something more with my channel until I can get my record player checked out and the tone arm tracking force reset. So, yeah. Try and have a good day, everybody. As you can see out my window, it's raining. And if you hear, it's actually raining. So I'm going to call this video done. And I hope to see you guys in the future. I would have put myself on camera, but I don't know how to flip the camera while I'm recording here. It keeps wanting to take photographs. So, I'll talk to you guys later. Stay safe. Try to enjoy the last bits of spring. Summer will happen here pretty soon, and my niece will be out of school in less than a week. So, yeah. They consider her a senior since she's got autism. So, yeah. Put down your memories of your Snoopy or your Teddy Ruxpin or both. I welcome it. So, yeah. I think a few of my friends had the Teddy Ruxpin. I know my friend Annette Renee Bernard had one. She has palsy worse than me, and she loved hers. And that made me want to get one. So, yeah. So, I'll talk to you guys later. Snoopy wants you to have a nice evening, and so does Teddy and Grubby. Oh, and by the way, speaking of Grubby, I have him around here somewhere, but no cord to connect him to. And I don't know if I lost him in the big flood we had here about 3 or 4 years ago. Yeah. I had him out in the living room for a long time when my dad and mom were still alive, so yeah. But then he wound up somewhere in the basement. But I hope to be able to find some of my tapes and I'll be able to post them. I think I do have a display tape somewhere. So, yeah, we'll just have to see. So, take care of each other and do like Teddy Ruxpin does. Do something good for somebody. Take them out and get them ice cream. Take them to a funny movie to put a smile on their face. Or just give them a hug. Or just do something nice for them. Take them to the park. Take them out for a nice meal, to a movie. Or take them on a nice trip somewhere. Maybe to Myrtle Beach or to the Alps, or go out to the mountains of Colorado. So, yeah. So keep the flame for Worlds of Wonder alive. Hopefully in a few short days we'll have some videos up rather than hearing me draw on for hours and hours. But things like this do need to be preserved, and if people want these things to be preserved and taken care of by good people who will take good care of them, I hope that a toy company will pick up the original designs for Teddy, make new parts and new plastics for the cassette housing, the new decks, and even new copies of tapes with the encoding on them. We need to keep Teddy Ruxpin alive and Snoopy alive. So Teddy cannot die with the 80s generation of young people that grew up with Teddy. It's not just kids. We're talking about teenagers and adults. We have to keep it going for the future. So hopefully in a few short days we'll have some Teddy stuff up, and hopefully we can get something going to where maybe a toy company will pick up the original designs for these guys, start making new parts and belts and servos, so we can keep these guys going long after this generation has left the world. It's a shame that toys like Teddy Ruxpin don't get the recognition that they deserve. They should have got the same recognition that My Little Pony Friendship is Magic had gotten in the decade that it was on the air. So, yeah. But I think the biggest success, I have to take my hat off to Ken Forsey, the creator of Teddy Ruxpin, and the voice behind Teddy Ruxpin and Grubby and Leota. Rusty Taylor was Leota. Teddy was Phil Barron. And Grubby was Will Ryan. And a few years ago, Will Ryan passed away. Very, very sad. And who knows how long Phil Barron will be here, Who knows how much time he has. We already lost Rusty Taylor. And remember, she was the voice behind Minnie Mouse since 1986. Since the days of Totally Minnie. So, yeah. Well, I'm going to get off here, ladies and gentlemen, and charge my phone up. I'll get this video up. Hopefully you're safe and dry wherever you are. As I said, it's raining here in Columbus. It sucks. But I thought I would get on here for a little bit and talk to you about Snoopy here and Teddy Ruxpin. I tried shooting this 5 or 6 freaking times and it never turns out the way I want it. So you'll have to forgive me for the sloppiness of this video. So, yeah. Please, if you know how to get in touch with Alchemy2 to maybe get to a company that might be able to make new parts for these older toys, I think it would be great. I want to see that happen. Well, anyway, gang, take care, love one another, check on your neighbor, Do something nice for someone, because you never know what kind of stuff they're going through. And to the haters, they're always going to hate. Just ignore them and move on. Take care of each other, ladies and gentlemen. I say that, and I'm sure a lot of people will think the same way I do. Have a good day, everybody, and I'll talk to you probably here sometime this week. Love to you all. Thank you.